do when a man ignores you? Isn't that just the most frustrating thing in the world? Well, watch until the end of this video because you're going to discover what it really means when a man ignores you and what to do instead. Hello Sassy Beauties, my name is Katie and I help smart, attractive, successful women attract and keep high quality men. If that sounds like you, subscribe to my channel and hit the bell notification to be notified of when I release new videos every Thursday. What does it mean when a man ignores you? There are three primary reasons a man ignores a woman, and it has to do with the context, okay, surrounding this. So, first reason is he needs space to think. This usually happens when you have been involved in a conflict with a man. Let's say you've brought up a problem, you're not happy with something. You're arguing with him about something. You may have said something to offend him, or maybe you've just presented a problem in your relationship. A lot of men will go away and have some alone time, have some space from you to think. And what they're really doing is he's trying to come up with a solution in his brain to solve the problem. That's because most men are problem solvers. They don't like to sit and talk about problems like women do. A lot of times us women will go into a conversation to talk about the problem and reach some sort of conclusion through talking about it. Men are not that way. Men want to think about the problem, come to a solution, and then talk about the solution instead. So it's very useful to know that if a guy has pulled away, he is distant, if the problem is quite big in scope, it's actually quite a big problem, then he may be distant for up to a week, a couple of weeks, maybe even a month, because he's trying to come up with a solution. And if it's a really big problem, he may not be able to come up with a solution. It's scary when a man's thinking because he's usually not communicating a lot when he's thinking. So that's what that means. It means he's trying to come up with something, come up with a solution. The second reason is it is easier for him to not respond. So maybe you've sent him a number of messages, maybe you're acting a little too needy, a little too demanding. Maybe you've asked him a challenging question, a confrontational question. Maybe you've sent him a bunch of text messages or statements that didn't require an answer. And the answer or the response is more implied rather than asked for. Perhaps you have just sent him a long message, but the message is a little unclear what you were trying to say, you know? It's a little bit, you know, do you mean you want to break up, or are you trying to have a go at him? You know, sometimes we send these really mixed messages, you know, and it's not very clear what exactly you're trying to communicate. If you're sending a message like that and you read it over, and even to you it sounds a little confusing, or maybe if you're not sure, ask a friend to read it, and she or he may be able to tell you if it's kind of confusing, then that may be why he is not responding. Because if it's something that's challenging and he doesn't know how to interpret this, or he doesn't know really how to respond, he's going to delay responding. He'll probably be like, okay, I'm gonna play video games instead of trying to answer this text message because it's easier to play video games, right? So that's something to think about. He may need to take more time to form a proper answer, especially if he really likes you. If he likes you, then he's gonna be careful with his response. The last reason he may be ignoring you or not responding is a lot of men will pull away after having sex or after being really close to a woman. So if he is doing that, let's say he's pulled away after you've had sex and he's not responding, he's ignoring you, that tend to happen, and that gives you a really good indicator of whether, you know, he was just only after sex with you or he actually wants a relationship. So the length of time he waits before he sends a message after sex is really telling. Let me talk about what you should do. So when you ignore a man, you're going to not text him, not call him, and not think about him. That last one is the tricky one. Okay, I know a lot of you girls have no problems not messaging, not calling, but not thinking, that's a little trickier. So I'm going to give you some tips. The more we think about someone, the more we can either talk ourselves into a frenzy, right, and into being freaking out or coming up with our own conclusions about what's going on. And that can actually make the situation worse. You could, through thinking yourself into a frenzy, end up sending more messages that could really screw up your chances with him. If he's not talking to you, he is ignoring you, you don't want to do any more to piss him off. The thinking part has to stop. And my tip for how to stop thinking about him is first to not expect him to respond for a good 7 days. Okay, if you know he's going to respond by tomorrow, just have it in your mind, he's not going to respond for 7 days. Anyway, just do it. And then at that point, you're going to turn your mind to something else. Okay, I'm going to be productive for 7 days. Let's imagine I'm going on holidays from this guy. I'm not going to think about him for 7 days. I'm going to put all my attention onto something else. That could be work. That could be a project, a personal project you have always wanted to do. Something that you could get lost in. Put your phone away. You're not expecting a message from him. You don't care if he messages you because you're going to fully get into this thing, okay, this task. Use that time to be productive instead of sitting there thinking up the worst case scenarios, okay, driving yourself insane and probably saying something that you will regret. Now, let me know, ladies, what was the longest time frame you have gone where you have ignored a guy? Okay, what's the longest time you have ignored a guy for? Let me know that in the comments below. If he just wanted sex and you want a relationship, feel free, ladies, to ignore him indefinitely. You will know if a guy just wants sex because directly after he has sex with you, he either doesn't message you for a couple of days after, which is always a sign that he was just after the sex after all, doesn't want a relationship, or he does message you, but it's just about the sex. It's just about how amazing the sex was and that was it. Then you know that was all he was after, that's all he's thinking about, that's all he wants next time. If you are in a relationship and he comes back from pulling away, comes back from being a bit distant, do not ignore him. Okay, don't play that game. Don't play that, oh, you're gonna ignore me, I'm gonna ignore you back. Okay, don't do that. That is very immature, very childish, and that is not how two adults have a proper relationship together. So when he comes back, ideally you want to be open to him and listen to him. You presented him with a question or a problem or something, and now you want to hear what he has come up with. And if he came up with something you didn't like, then it's negotiation time. It's time to now communicate what you think, what you want, how you feel, and then you pass the ball to him, ask him how he thinks, what he wants, how he feels, and it's going back and forth, and communicating what you both want and try to come to some kind of resolution. Don't just ignore the issue, right? If he comes back, pretends like nothing's wrong, do not ignore it. Go back to the initial problem that you were talking about. Don't just let it kind of like die because you brought it up for a reason. So play that scenario out to the end. If you were dating and you're the one acting needy, acting a bit too clingy or desperate, you may want to explain to him why it's not okay for him to just suddenly disappear and ignore you. Some guys may make it sound like, well, you're acting this way, I didn't know how to handle it, so I just disappeared. And they make it sound like that's completely justifiable. Wrong, not, okay? You're not going to accept a man who will not communicate with you. He has to communicate. It's not okay for him to just disappear when he wants to if things are not going according to his plans. You have no relationship if he doesn't communicate with you. Now you know what to do if a man is ignoring you and how to ignore him back to get the results you want and what you should do instead. You may be wondering, okay, I'm sick of these games. How do I genuinely and authentically get a man to fall in love with me, madly in love with me, and stay in love with me? Well, these steps are just the tip of the iceberg on how to tap into your feminine energy. Your feminine energy is the most powerful source within you, and it is a thing that really makes men genuinely and deeply fall in love with you and want to be with you forever. Now, wouldn't it be useful to know what your current feminine energy score is? Well, I think so. So that's why I put together this really short and fun quiz to test your feminine energy score. You'll also test how truly magnetic you are to men right now. All you have to do is simply go to the link in the description or in the cards to try out that quiz and to find out. Now, you probably want to check out more videos just like this on how to up-level your attraction skills and manifest your perfect guy. If you like this video, hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and share it with your friends. I'll be back with more amazing videos real soon.